Okay, so today is November 11th, and yesterday or the day before I talked about Brian Longbottom, how he was connected with childhood people like Mike Huntley, sending Melody the stripper after me, and Mike Huntley telling me that her boyfriend cut her car's brake lines and tried to kill her, and Star Auto House, my father getting a job for Gabby Angle at Star Auto House Mercedes, and them loosening the lug nuts on the wheels, which my guess is they were trying to scare me into a coerced false confession that I had cut Melody's brake lines on her car, or just try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo and think that I'm her boyfriend or something like that, which I would have to say that with all the things being done to me all day and night, 24/7, endlessly, worldwide, with every psychological warfare, frame job, setup attempt, you name it, to completely exterminate and eradicate me, that it could be any of them, any of the above, just any way, whether they make me look crazy and put me in a mental institution like my brother's threats at 16, and he and his friends were going to put me in a mental institution, which wasn't that direct, which was me and my friends put a teacher in a mental institution and then proceeded to tell me that they have a bug in my room and are listening to everything I do on the radio, which obviously connects back to Creepshow at the age, I think that was 12, which then obviously links to Ralph Bakshi back at 5, right, with the white supremacist things and the World War II, turn the world against Kevin, and make him look like a crazy white supremacist, murdering Nazi, whatever, right? And then when I find out and tell people, they turn it around going, you're trying to turn it around, right? But keep in mind that the things I'm talking about are way the hell out of the norm. I mean, these things do not happen to people. If you were to take one of these incidences, you might say, if I were to ask 100 people if they knew anyone that their brother took them on a cruise trying to turn them into a paranoid schizo and flip them out by planting a knife on them and things like that, you would say, out of those 100 people that I asked, they would say, I don't know anyone that's ever happened to, right? I mean, we are talking just one of these situations, just one of these isolated situations, which are pretty much all day and night, and endlessly for 40 years, or at least ramping up till now, all day and night, are unheard of. They are completely unheard of. They are not, and that's how I stumbled upon what gang stalking was trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I'm watching large groups of people conspiring to flip me out, make me mentally ill, kill me, or rid me of the world is beyond any level of rare, but it does happen. It's extremely rare. And so, back, I don't know when this was, probably longer than 10 years ago, researching on the internet, and obviously my computer was being tracked, like it still is, by the NSA and FBI, and giving out information to the world, taken out of context and used against me. But back then, looking up gang stalking, there were very few sites. There weren't many around. People were terrified to come forward. They were met, just like I have been and still am, with you're a crazy nut job, yada yada yada. Now there's like 100 million gang stalking websites, and it's the happening trend. But truth be told, probably 98% of them are fakes, or people wanting attention, or more importantly, cover-ups for Kevin Perlman. So, for example, Kevin Perlman is known worldwide, and he's starting to be strong enough to look past the psychological thug tactics of, if you ever talk, I'm going to say you're crazy and we're going to lock you up, which is what gang stalking is about, or gaslighting. It's about control. It's about trying to figure out a way to treat you like a slave, or what Adolf Hitler did to the Jews, and mentally whip you to death if you don't do what they tell you, which is my entire life. That's the definition of my entire life. You date Adriana Olivares and you marry her, or we're going to tell the world that you stalked Mila, the stripper, and tried to mob her to death, and you did all these horrible things to her, and you're also a drug dealer, and you're hacking people and trying to make them mentally ill, turning these mass groups against me, but nothing's ever directly said. You're just met with anger and rage, with these people hinting that you did this or that, but you're never allowed to verbally have a conversation that involves communication, to say, what's your problem? And they reply, you did this. And then you say, no, I did not. Do you have proof? Yada, yada, yada. And if it's a real crime, you're arrested for it with facts, right? Facts and evidence. Therefore, if you're not arrested for it, it probably did not happen because there's not even enough evidence for probable cause. Anyways, you get the idea. These psychological warfare tactics are to intimidate you so that when you speak out, they go, oh, he's crazy, now you have to do what we say, right? And if you even stand up to them, it's, he's crazy, and he's a violent paranoid schizo, and he's 5150, and if you don't do what we say, we're going to lock you away, right? The reality of the situation is, it is not a crime to be crazy. It's not a crime to be paranoid. It is not a crime to even be schizo. And then there's probably 100 different types of schizos, even though I'm not schizo. But it's not a crime. And so that is why Officer Sean Dinsey, Officer Jensen, Detective Angela Stewart, Detective Shapiro, the entire Topanga Division LAPD, that they've been stalking me for 40 years, linked with police worldwide, with the government, NSA, FBI, when I started putting up websites, maybe at the age 38, because I just got sick of it, because I realized they were not going to ever stop, especially after 40 years of this. And so that's when their attacks became more physical, which on every occasion I called the police when I was physically attacked. The police would write up that I attacked the other person, and with these mass groups. The arrests to throw me in jail, maximum security prison, telling all the gang members in maximum security prison at Pitch's Wayside, that, by the way, is not on record because it was supposed to be a 5-day remand to kind of scare me quiet, which turned out to be 11 days at Pitch's Wayside, but they were going to just take me down to Van Nuys or whatever for a short period, but they wanted to send me a message, so they took me to Los Angeles IRC, hinting about IRC internet-related chat, trying to cover up their crimes. That was for about 4 days. Then they took me to Pitch's Wayside in the maximum security side, where they kept hinting about my armpits and saying I stink with their paranoid schizophrenia tactics. I ended up in the hole, I think, for 6 to 8 days, solitary confinement, because they wanted me to pick a race to roll with power, which I can't tell you if that's standard procedure or not. Of course, they tell me it is, the police tell me in the jail that that's jail politics, but when you have a life like mine where everyone's trying to give you disinformation, you don't really know what to believe. Either way, I told them that I wasn't going to pick a side. I don't pick black over Hispanic. I don't pick Jewish over Hispanic or black. I am a United States citizen based on the Constitution of the United States and everything about the United States, where we talk about the melting pot, races intermixing, capitalism making money over racial banding together, which is what 90% of the people really are like when they're not around me. They just try to feed me disinformation to make me think that I think differently. And because I'm about the United States Constitution, freedoms, free will, freedom of choice, protection, and the cops out here to defend people like me and protect me that my tax dollars pay for, and not hunt me down saying, you're not allowed to get into photography, you're not allowed to build adult websites, you have to date this girl or we're going to kill you or throw you in jail, you have to be a devout Jew or we're going to throw you in jail or kill you, right? That is not what the United States is about. That is why we have the Constitution of the United States. So, you get the idea. We have these gang stalking operations, these police labeling people, making them look crazy, mentally ill, to control them. But where does all this come from, right? Where does the police running around and even me having police scanner recordings of just in 2 nights, police scanner recordings, person after person, possible person with male mental illness, possible person with male, or possible male with mental illness, possible person with mental illness, labeling people, putting them on watch lists to stalk, and in the name of we don't trust you, okay? Not in the name of this person went out and committed a crime, but we don't trust you, right? Well, no one ever said in the United States of America, or really anywhere else, that it is a law that you have to be trustable. And as a matter of fact, most people don't really trust anyone else anyways. And they get to know them, and they slowly get to know them to see if they can trust them. And so, my point is that to say, I don't trust you now, we're watching you, and you do what we say, and I think you're a danger to society, yada, 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 goes against our entire Constitution of the United States. The entire reason we have it is so that corrupt trash that call themselves cops, or anyone else, even the President of the United States, cannot do things like that. The Constitution was meant for us, the people, we the people, and not to empower tyrants in the government, but to empower the people like me to have a safe, good life, unless we commit a crime or something. Okay, fine, then we go to court and the judicial system has to prove our guilt. But that's not happening in my life, and that starts at 5 years old from a family that says, I don't trust our child. Now, how do they have the resources to do that? Well, I still can't really answer that, but I'm going to give you the dynamics of my family and my early childhood so that you can understand better how this ball started rolling, or forest fire, or whatever you want to call it, and then you'll be able to understand putting the pieces together. Not based on what the world thinks they know about me, but the truthful story that Ted Perlman hasn't done a damn thing wrong, but turned 29 and find out he's being hunted for extermination by a worldwide campaign. Sorry. Okay, so you understand what I'm talking about with gang stalking, mass conspiracies to make someone mentally ill to try to control them, and then off them because they don't do what they're told, because the Constitution says I don't fucking have to do what you tell me to do, whether it's suggestive or direct. And I have that free will, and so does everyone. And while that is beyond any level of rare, if this happens to someone, despite all these websites out there and people running around saying I'm a TI, which I believe is just to mask what's being done to me, because I'm known worldwide in something that's so insanely huge, that the people that did this to my life are in it so deep when they found out at 29 that I found out what was going on, that they need cover-up operations and they need ways to make me look crazy, hence the 100,000 gang stalking websites with all the fakes saying I'm a TI, and this happens to 100 million people, yada yada, yeah, right, bullshit. Now, most likely the reason is to get Kevin Perlman to associate with all the fakes, so that they go, yeah, Kevin's a scammer and he's just trying to make money off the internet with his website, which they tried to use against me in the court with these illegal arrests, which was me being attacked and me being hunted, and Sean Dempsey writing up falsified charges and reversing everything, with my neighbors, which flat out went on the stand and basically testified that they were contacted by Sean Dempsey to go after me, and things like that, showing that I'm innocent. But of course, because the jury was a jury tamper jury, and all the lawyers were told to screw me over, no matter how many I contacted, even my own. I paid $15,000 to a Seymour Amster after calling thousands who all basically said, I'm not going to help you, which is beyond any level of strange, and while trying to rip me off. And keep in mind, these were simple misdemeanor charges. These weren't even felonies. And some of these lawyers were trying to charge me $40,000, $50,000 and things like this, right? And they were harassing and provoking me. Every single one of them told not to help me. Okay, that is unheard of. I mean, that defeats the entire reason for the judicial system, right? Hey, we're going to contact every lawyer, tell you to take all your money, and lock you away in jail for the crime of finding out that you're being hunted by mass worldwide groups for no reason at all. Okay, so anyways, right? So you understand the power of these conspiracies against me with worldwide internet-based systems built around me to torture and kill and stop me from ever getting any help. Hence Mike Huntley's words to me, you're not allowed to defend yourself, and my own father's same words to me, I'm not allowed to defend myself, showing my father's hate and rage towards his son. Why? I can't answer that question. I mean, the answer is simply, I'm not a bad person. My father just didn't get what he wanted. Does that make sense? He had a kid at 5 years old. He said, I don't want it. We need to abort him. Translation, kill him, off him, end his life. So now, I want to talk about, you understand Brian Weaver, Brian Longbotham, their mental illness operations. I haven't really discussed Brian Weaver's much, but they were identical to Brian Longbotham's, and same with everyone else in my life, because they were all working together in these coordinated operations with packaged terror tactics that they just do in repetition until I'm dead and gone. But you understand some of those dynamics. Mike Huntley sending Melody after me for me to just simply bounce at a couple of bachelor parties, which my punishment is death, right, for the crime of, well, you associated with a stripper, and the stripper is supposedly shady, and therefore there's a worldwide campaign to kill you, so you did this to your own life. Well, yeah, that doesn't really make much sense, because let me tell you, out of all the strippers and people associating with strippers, out of all the pool halls, all the strip clubs, porn stars, let me just think of something, photographers, something less shady like studio photography. Not one of these people on our planet this is happening to. even the nastiest of nasty porn stars that do some crazy voyeur crap out in public, this isn't happening to. Okay? Right? So, Kevin Perlman, the really good person, who, sure, he's associated with some shady people, but that doesn't define a worldwide murder operation. Normally people go, oh, that guy dates a stripper, I really don't care, you know, because I gotta go live my life and make money and eat. But anyways, so you understand some of the flow of events. Yeah, you know, you associated with Melody, the stripper that I introduced you to, so now I'm going to punish you. You got into building car engines, but I don't like you building car engines that big, so I'm going to punish you. Right? Things like that. And these punishments aren't the types of punishments you walk away from. You just die. Or you live in severe torture until something really bad happens, and they try to make it look like you're crazy. So now I want to talk about the point I was getting to, but I needed you to understand the dynamics of these endless all day and night events, and that is, and in such a way that when I talk about my childhood, you don't go, oh, you're crazy, and this is dramatized, right? You need to hear the factual data and logic to substantiate the base, so that the base, you can understand the reality of the situation, and that this isn't Kevin Perlman spewing out fantasy and drama and gossip. This is really happening based on these situations, and so for me to just spew out psychological banter like my family does about me just creates non-factual information that nobody cares about. But once you understand the logic and how people work together, and how this associates with that, and how this event happened with that event, and you hear it or you see it enough times from person to person that I talk about based on common sense, facts, and logic, you'll understand about the things from my childhood and my family. Okay, so now the topic for today is the famous art therapy tree. And while nobody worldwide will admit they know me or what's going on, this is one of the earliest fabrications from my mother and family to discredit me out of their anger and rage. What's their anger and rage? I can't answer that. It just seems to be, like I said, they didn't get what they wanted. Okay, so my mother, I'm sure I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. My family, you have to understand who my family are. Aside from their paranoid psychotic behaviors, and zero communication skills, and me the only one with communication skills in my family, but I've never been able to communicate with my family because they never say anything, and when they come at you in anger, it's random strangers with them in such ways that nothing's ever directly said, so you can't communicate with them. And in order for them to cover up what they're doing, they turn it around like everything else and say, I have communication problems. The point is that I never knew I needed to communicate with my family on all these freaky issues because nothing was ever directly said, right? In other words, I turned 29, I thought I had the best family known to man, and I was telling people that I have the best family known to man to come out to deer in headlights, complete shock that they are complete psychotic murderers, characters that you would see in these like complete fictional horror movies or something, like frickin' Dr. Giggles or something that you would never expect, right? Except when they come at you, they don't come at you with knives and hatchets. They come after you with psychology. Now, there is my father, my mother, my 2-year older brother, Jason Perlman, Anita Perlman, and Rob Perlman. And their background, I mean, and then there's also, I have Shane, a second brother from a second mother, whatever. I won't get into them yet. But these are the foundation growing up. Okay, now, what is their background? My father is an orthopedic surgeon who was in the Air Force, and he has a secondary psychology degree. My mother is a art therapist, which is really bad for me because I love art. And so she picks apart and analyzes and shreds art, right? In the name of helping people, which I don't even see how the hell that's even possible. Then we have my brother. He fits my father's footsteps, which is a urologist and a secondary psychology degree as well. And then, of course, Shane, I was told, my second brother, he's like 10 years younger from Janet and Ordette. My father married, like, whatever, and there's a whole setup operation with them. But, and he, I heard, was going off, or is going off to college, to med school. Probably just scared shitless that if he doesn't follow the footsteps, he's a dead man like me. I couldn't tell you though, because I broke off all contact because everyone around my family is contacted to hunt me down and kill me, try to make me crazy and mentally ill and whatever. So anyways, my father, mother, and brother use psychology not to help, but to control, torture, and as a weapon. So that's what you really need to understand. These aren't good people. These aren't decent people. They didn't get psychology degrees with that mindset that there's troubled people out there and I want to help them. That's not why they have those psychology degrees. They have the psychology degrees kind of like a whip in slavery. You do what I say, or I psychologically whip you or shock you, right? Now you have to understand that I can't tell you how deep my family goes into the psychology community and the government, but apparently, as I found out, because aside from my mother working at places like Cedars-Sinai down in LA, I never really thought that they somehow had connections with the police and government and the entire psychology community to torture, kill in the name of control or whatever their reasoning. But apparently they do, which is freaky. Which now you kind of understand a kid growing up being a fun, free-spirited kid that I wouldn't want to call myself Doogie Howser or anything, because I'm not some superhuman dramatized Hollywood character or anything like Doogie Howser. But at 16, I was building cars from reading Hot Rod magazine, and books on how to rebuild engines, learning by myself, where everyone else was out doing the things that high school kids do. And I wasn't a complete isolated kid or anything. I went out to parties, and we had our own parties, and I was fairly social. I just didn't know that my friends were told to remove me from society. So I had my group of friends. I was social. I associated with my brother's friends I was in between grades. So a 2-year-old brother with friends where I'm behind a grade. So I was actually in the middle of my friends and my brother's friends, and so I would associate with both. If anyone was ever mad about that, they never said anything. Once again, back to communication. So, you know, I was building RC cars from scratch at the age, I don't know, 13 or 12 with soldering irons and putting them all together or whatever. And, you know, these aren't the end-all, be-all of genius or anything, but I can't recall anyone else doing it, right? And so, anyways, that being said, where I totally lost my train of thought, where I was coming from. I was coming from my family. Anyways, so I don't know, whatever. Back to the point. The point, or the topic was, now, my family and the psychology community. And apparently there was a lot of analyzing Kevin. Whether Kevin, and one of some of the stupid crap I heard from Mike Huntley is that I'm an out-of-control monster and things like this. Yet, there's nothing I've done really out of control. That's what doesn't make any sense. So, my family's definition of out of control is, you went to strip clubs and you went to too many strip clubs and you got too many lap dances, therefore you're out of control. Translation, we don't like you going to strip clubs because we don't want to be known as the family that has a son that goes to strip clubs, right? That's the real issue here. It's not you're an out-of-control monster that if you tap your foot around Aubrey Fisher, you sparked a worldwide forest fire because you tapped your foot around a girl. That's insane. They're just saying it because they don't approve of anything that's different from what they do. But anyways, so, and I know I go on a lot of tangents, but that's because all these things are interlinked. It's not a simple, oh, he hit me, wah, wah. Okay, so, the psychology community and my family, and now this is the big topic that I want to get to, is the famous tree that the world knows about and it pretends they don't know me. Now, at the age, I don't even know what age this was. I have to put somewhere between, I'm going to say, somewhere between 6 to 10. My mother unethically wanted me to draw her a tree. And, if anyone knows anything about psychology and art therapy, one of their, I don't know much about it, like one of their training or things like that is to have people draw trees and analyze it. I mean, if you ask me, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but whatever. So my mother comes up to me, and remember, if you want to go to a shrink, you call up a shrink, and you pay for help to get help because you want to get help. In other words, if a mother starts psychoanalyzing you to try to find shit to use against you, that's unethical. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's unethical for someone to start operating on you because they don't like you or trust you or want to find out something on you, right? And pick apart your brain and try to get dirt to use against you. So, we have an unethical mother who is big on things like boundaries and blurring lines, but she herself is the biggest hypocrite known to man, and the guy that's perfectly normal and non-abusive, me, has to suffer because she's a nut job who won't leave her child alone, right? With the rest of my family, which has created these worldwide terror groups. Okay, so she wants me to draw her a tree so she could psychoanalyze me. And being a kid, it sounds funny, and actually it still sounds funny because the idea itself just sounds so absurd, right? Draw me a tree so I can analyze you. Okay, so, me kind of laughing my ass off, sort of want to joke around with her because I have a sense of humor. Now, if you want to say, well, you shouldn't fuck with psychologists and this and that because they can think this and that, you're probably right. You're totally right. But we're not talking about psychologists. We're talking about a kid's mother that wants him to draw a tree for her, and he didn't ask her for help. She just came up to demanding you do this. And being who knows a 7-year-old is going to pretty much do what his parents want. But because the idea sounded funnier than hell, I drew a tree without leaves and like, you know that hole in the tree that you always see, that comical hole or whatever, and I think I put like a witch or a skull, but I think it was a skull or something in the hole, because I think that applies to all of this whole skull fucking campaign, to skull fuck me to death. Okay, so I draw this tree, it's funny to me, whatever, yada yada yada. Well, bam, that is the end-all be-all of crimes. I fucked with Anita Perlman. You don't fuck with people. If you fuck with people, you're dead, man. You will be hunted for the rest of your life, right? Now, I think we can all agree that normal, sane families laugh, they joke around with each other, they have a fairly good time while trying to be responsible or whatever. If you know what I'm getting at, and people and family and siblings all joke around with each other. And it is unheard of that if someone didn't get the stupid tree they didn't want, they devote the rest of their lives having the world fuck with you to death, okay? Not like a joking fuck with you, but an all day and night 25, we're gonna skull fuck you to death and kill you, which are some of the death threats from the police and IRC girls like Skylar, who befriended me in the Colorado channel when I lived in Colorado and hunted me, who lived close to my brother in Florida, working with the police, and that's for a whole different topic, who basically let me know that she was going to skull fuck me to death in a non-direct way, to find out that it was linked with the LAPD and police and government worldwide, right? And when Skylar came in my life, that was at the age, I was probably around 25. So if I drew a tree that my mother spazzed out and went ballistic, just completely snapped and went ballistic over, and then went to the psychology community and said, my son's a bad seed, we gotta hunt him down and kill him or whatever, or skull fuck him to death until he's dead, gone, or in a mental institution or jail, and rid him of the world. And at 25, Skylar is stalking me and hunting me and befriending me on IRC from Florida, with my brother in the Colorado channel. You get the idea, right? Okay, this family cannot take a simple joke. I mean, if you probably said, "Hey, mommy," you're 7-year-old. "Hey, mommy, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side?" I'd probably be a dead man as well, right? Okay. My point is that sane, normal, stable people laugh at shit like this, and paranoid psychotics snap and kill you over farting wrong. That's the point. Now, we're going back to the psychology community. How does this go from Anita Perlman unethically testing her son to the entire psychology community worldwide? My son has a problem. He's a psychotic. He's a paranoid schizo. He's this. He suffers from anxiety problems. He suffers from nervous problems. He's a white supremacist. He's a car thief. He's a woman hater. Yada 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 yada. Going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Wait, is this really about a fucking tree or someone's pride that got hurt? Right? Kevin Perlman joked around with her. She took her job way too seriously on doing things she shouldn't have been doing to Kevin Perlman. She snaps because she's a psychotic with the rest of my family. And Kevin's a dead man because of what he did, right? Trying to make me think that because I didn't draw this tree right, it's my fault. Okay. So, now you're starting to understand the dynamics of the family personalities that are extremely rare and don't really exist. Even if the family is a bunch of psychologists or psychiatrists, it still doesn't exist because, like I said before, the concept of psychology is to help people and not kill people you don't like. Okay, so the tree somehow gets spewed off to the entire planet that Kevin did this, right? It's now a crime. It's the crime of all crimes. They didn't get the tree they wanted. Remember, I wasn't in a mental institution drawing trees. This was a house in Hidden Hills with a neurotic mother. Okay, so now I'm going to apply this to this concept of my family, and I can't tell you exactly where this comes from, but it seems that at one point, at a young age, at the same time as this tree, my family has seemed to put some kind of, with these hundreds of thousands of false labels to the world on their propaganda, is that Kevin plays games with people's lives, and Kevin thinks life is a game, and there's this whole game theme going on around this as well, okay? Just more propaganda, lies, defamation, whatever. But where does this game shit come from? Well, I can't exactly tell you. I can just tell you what's being done to my life. Example, at the age... Well, for example, before going there, let me talk about my stepfather, Arnold. Like, after the shit hit the fan at 29, and they're playing their psychotic murder games with me, they were giving me all this disinformation. Like, Arnold wanted, my stepfather, Arnold, in Canada, Arnold Silber, who's heavily involved in all these terror and torture operations, wanted me to come out to Vancouver, and he wanted to take me around and show me his real estate business, and then he told me that real estate is like playing Monopoly with people's lives, right? So some demented statement which could be taken either way, but being the context of the situation is they're playing psychological murder games with my life, and they keep hinting about games to me over and over, which a lot of it they're taking out of movies, because a lot of this is actually taken from the movie 1982, the movie Tron, trying to make me think I conform to the movie Tron and things like this, and I'm a hacker, and all this. And I think their Fives tactics comes from that movie, I'm not sure. So that is one of their things, is the movie Tron, where they go, we're going to put you on the game grid, and you're hacking into people's computers, and there's this whole thing where the world's told that I'm hacking into people's computers, trying to make them mentally ill. After my brother showed me the internet in 1994, which was only telnet sessions, and I was going from school libraries and called up Kelly Hatch through the public phone directory on the internet. Kelly Hatch was accusing me of being a hacker with Hollywood, where they made the movie Hackers, with all these hidden messages about me and the movie Hackers, doing their thing where they put messages in movies, and at the same time people do their street theater from the movies. In this case, it was the movie Hackers, where Lynn Junkin on IRC, a 16-year-old, was sent in to follow me to social events, like IRC parties, and the first thing she wanted to do was get confessions from me that I had stolen a laptop, and wanted us to watch the movie Hackers, right? And it was all directed at me. And then they switched up with my brother's friend Mike Wexler. He introduced me to in Colorado, trying to manipulate me into statutory rape or dating a 16-year-old, or things that didn't work, which they then obviously started putting into other movies like The Big Lebowski, directed at me, and things like that, right? Which, while it jumps from thing to thing and theme to theme, it's all really just based on sending me hidden messages to skull fuck me to death, based on this tree my mother didn't get, right? And so, maybe It's obviously more complex than a tree, but that's one of the dynamics. Okay, so we're going to talk about the game aspect. Well, I don't know why my family came up with this theory that Kevin plays games with people's lives, and I think, like everything else, it's just a cover-up operation to cover up what they're doing. So, example, 16 years old, I have a crush on a girl named Corey Bixby in Calabasas High and in middle school, around where Brian Weaver is beating up Ryan Hirsch and pinning it on me and all the endless other things. And 16 years old, for some reason, Corey Bixby asked me to give her a ride home in my Trans Am, which I changed engines, put in a bigger engine, things like this, all on my own, which apparently my family were so mad about, but never said anything. And she asked me to give her a ride home. I give her a ride home. Was the nicest person known to man, did not say one mean thing to her, sure was a little shy with women, and after that she was angrier than hell at me for doing nothing at all to her like everyone else on this planet. And obviously worldwide groups were told to fuck with me, and people in the high school to fuck with me because I wronged Corey Bixby, which later on, maybe at the age 35, through my father's guilting hints, their cryptic guilting messages, because their inability to communicate, it comes out pretty much through his suggestive behaviors that I somehow provoked her and trolled her and bugged her by pushing the gas pedal like a few millimeters too much, because anyone who either builds cars or drives powerful cars knows that their foot likes to feel the gas pedal and feel the acceleration. And so at one point, instead of this perfect taxi cab ride home, and ironically anyone that knows things like New York taxi cab drivers knows that driving is opposite of perfect, and probably a little scary for people that aren't used to it. Don't spaz out and kill the taxi driver. But in Kevin's case, because I barely pushed the pedal just to feel some acceleration, I somehow ruined this person's life and need to be hunted for the rest of my life, playing mind games and bipolar games, and I did this to her and that to her and the other thing to her. Well, guess what? Like everything else in my life, I did nothing to Corey Bixby, and I didn't even remotely come close in any way, shape, or form in doing anything to Corey Bixby, like anyone else. Any way, shape, form could not even possibly happen. While they're trying to say I'm exerting these horrible, mean, passive-aggressive behaviors, but yet not even close. Not even close in any way, shape, or form. Now, theoretically, you could say there's a girl, she wanted a ride, she wanted me to ask her out, she didn't get her way, so then she wants revenge. That's what you would say, right? A girl that wants revenge because they didn't get their way. Only, there's a problem with this. And the problem is that it goes from person to person. It goes from girl to girl. Right? I kiss a black girl at 8 years old, and I'm labeled a white supremacist and need to be hunted and killed. Corey Bixby wants to ride home. I committed the end-all be-all of crimes and need to be hunted and killed by worldwide support for playing games with her life. This is a good one. Carissa brands. This one, I don't know if I should talk about this because it's complex. I'll start it, but I'm going to have to finish it in another entry probably. Carissa Brands, who pretends later on that she checked into a mental institution because she couldn't take life anymore. Before that, I was joking around with her, and she was following me back to Hidden Hills in their car behind us with her friend. I can't remember her annoying friend's name, who she just kept saying, for some reason this is stuck in my head, with her annoying voice, she kept saying, pick a game, pick a game, pick a game, or something like that. And so, I think it was it was this double date where we just did not mesh at all. And she had this annoying friend, and she kept saying, pick a game. And so, we were driving back to my mother's house in Hidden Hills. We were driving back to my mother's house in Hidden Hills. She was following behind us. I'm pretty sure she knew where I lived. We got into the gate, past the gate guard, and then I bolted, took off, ditched her, right? I mean, I don't want to say ditched her, but let's say for now, I took off, I bolted, I ditched her, knowing that she was going to make it to the house. If that makes sense. So, for example, you get past the gate guard, maybe the house is 4 miles away, really close, and probably not even 4 miles, maybe 2 miles, and because you have a fast car, you like to kind of fuck around and have some fun with your fast car. So you bolt her, you take off, and she catches up 10 minutes later, right? Now, if my family would tell you, which is untrue, that kids don't do kid shit like that. Now I'm here to tell you, and if you're watching this and you're a 16-year-old, you damn well know, all of you fuck around, have fun, are kids, and be kids, and most kids don't sit there like Waldo in the Van Halen's Video Hopper teacher, anal retentive, and afraid to have a little fun and joke around, right? Well, my mother found out, and that was the end of the world, and she had a little talk with me. One of the few communications of my mother, that you don't do things like that, yada, 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 as if I left some girl stranded in the desert to starve to death, right? If you understand where I'm going with this, we got the dog bite incident, sorry, not dog bite. We got the third grade incident where I softly bit some guy's hand. No blood, no bruising, no damage, no nothing. Which I'm like a dog and I need to be put down. We got Kevin sped off and temporarily ditched someone for 10 minutes, joking around with them. Just little prankish kids' behaviors, which kids do all day and night. And he left the girl stranded in the desert to die. Right? How are things going from here to there, right? It's kind of like, you farted, therefore you tried to gas someone to death and kill them, right? I mean, nothing my family says makes any sense. So whatever. It was a simple, I guess, a scene out of the movie The Wraith. Now that I watched the movie The Wraith again at the age 40, and I noticed that my family was taking all sorts of hidden suggestive things from the movie. For example, one of the guys, ironically, there's some quotes I said at 30 or 40 that apply to the movie, but that's based on coincidence because you're going to say things that people say in movies, but the parts that weren't coincidences were when I was 16 and my father wanted to go out and look at Starion cars, like the car they were racing in the movie The Wraith, and there were all sorts of things taken out of that movie that I didn't even pick up on watching now, that they were trying to skull fuck me to death with. And keep in mind, like I said before, This goes on from movie to movie and thing to thing. It's not just one movie. They keep using all media to try to send me suggestive references to intentionally create paranoid schizophrenia, or the effect of paranoid schizophrenia. And so my entire point is back to the, you have friends you joke around with them, right? And so when when we had our little parties at my dad's house, and part of my high school came over, and Tom Hope got really drunk, and he came out of the bathroom screaming at the cardboard poster of Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, beating it up. I didn't run around saying he's a violent murderer because he beat up our Texas Chainsaw Massacre stand-up poster thingy, movie thingy, right? Or when Tom Hope got the same night pissed on our carpet in the corner, just completely belligerently drunk. I didn't run around saying Tom Hope suffers from lack of self-control, and so we need to hunt him down and put him in mental institutions because he lost control and got so drunk that he punched the cardboard poster and peed on our carpet in the corner in my bedroom, right? You don't see me run around saying he's a menace to society for imperfect kids being kids, right? Ironically, since I'm on that topic, the whole carpet pissing incident in the movie The Big Lebowski, which once again had all sorts of references about Kevin Perlman to try to skull fuck me to death or turn me into a violent paranoid schizo. That whole carpet pissing scene, which also applies to Brian Longbottom, with Persian carpets and Thousand Oaks and my father and all sorts of weird shit like that. This carpet pissing event that they seem to, like everything else, be pitting on me to try to make me look like I'm a schizophrenic and think I'm other people, really applies to Tom Hope pissing on my carpet in our Avenue San Luis DeSoto house during a big old party where my brother wrote 666 on Tom Farley's forehead and put spider webs on his face with permanent ink and shit like that, whatever. But, okay. So anyways, so my mother is taking this whole game thing, right? We got Carissa Brands, and I'm playing games with her life. I got, which seems to stem from, I'm not sure, but Tron. They also seem to be applying it to an arcade event. Let me think of the time frame. This was before I drove. I'm probably around 8th or 9th grade. No, 8th grade. It's middle school. Yeah, it's middle school. Okay, so we're back to the Christy Reynolds time frame, right? It's middle school. This was before video games were big on home computers, except we had Atari 800. My brother had Atari 1040. He had, I don't know, I think I grew up Commodores, Ataris, ColecoVision, very simple game systems, and back then the cool arcade games were in the arcades, right? And so we would go to Topanga Mall, and our parents would drive us, and we'd go to Topanga Mall, and in the arcade, I can remember, there was a setup with a person named Jason. Hold on. Let's see. My brother sent Jason Baum after me at University of Colorado, but Jason Gordon, which is why the movie Ted their favorite movie is Flash Gordon. There's a whole suggestive underlying hidden thing going on with Flash Gordon and Jason Gordon and Kevin being Ted, and women basically saying I'm an it, like a teddy bear, things like that, which all actually starts not from Ted the Cool Bear, but it starts from them tracking my computers at Signet with Mike Huntley and my family, and I was typing data into the database to test my code, my insert queries, and I was typing random names. For example, I was typing Joe, Bill, Fred, Al Bundy, Ted Bundy, George, Lionel, whatever, and what they do is they take one thing out of context, apply it to me, and give it out to the world. Example, well, Kevin just typed in 100 random names into a database. Why? Because he's checking the insert query, right? Or the delete query, or whatever. Now, when my family and these mass groups working with them and the government are data mining my life with NSA, they leave out the 100 entries and they say, well, Kevin typed in Ted Bundy, so therefore he's a serial killer. He exerts psychotic behaviors. We need to watch him. We need to do this. Blah, blah, blah. And that's where the whole Ted thing comes from. So it goes from Ted Bundy to, plus I typed in Al Bundy, so now I must be bipolar, right? To taking this out of the context of 100 different data tests to one thing, right? Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's the oldest trick in the book to try to destroy someone's life, is take information out of context to use it against them. Hence Mike's words to me. We are using the system against you. In other words, they're getting what they can to try to discredit me and destroy me and rid me of the world. Okay, so the Ted Bundy, Cool Ted, Teddy Bear, which supposedly has no dick and is an it, yada yada yada, is supposed to be like the alter ego of Kevin Perlman, right? Now, back to, and that's my point, is they're writing these things. Okay, so, anyways, so Jason Gordon, we go to Topanga Plaza, they have an arcade there, you get your mommy and daddy drive you, they drop you off, you're like 12 years old, you play your arcade games, and quarter a game, or the expensive one is 2 quarters, whatever. And somehow that applies to me playing games and conforming to video games. That's probably what they're saying, right? Because their big thing is I conform to the movies, they put hidden messages or act out to try to flip me out, or I conform to video games too, probably, and I conform to music, obviously, is another one of their scams. And I conform to other people, right? They just say what they need to say. So now they're probably saying I conform to the movie Tron with space paranoids, and I conform to whatever. So anyways, I can't. So we go to whatever. Once in a while, our parents drop us off at the arcade for a few hours or whatever, and we play our games. And so at one point I go with Robbie Leff, a neighbor, and so I can recall Robbie Leff blabbing about Jason Gordon, which supposedly, who knows what's true or not anymore, because everyone in my life are completely full of shit and trying to set me up any way, shape, or form. But Robbie Left's thing was, he kept talking about Jason Gordon, who supposedly he was bullied in high school. I can't tell you because I was in middle school, right? And he was sort of playing off me and getting me riled up and saying Jason Gordon this and Jason Gordon that, blah, 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 and this and that. And then Jason Gordon came up and I did something stupid. I don't know why, but, you know, kids are kids because kids just do kid shit. And this isn't the strangest thing in the world because 12-year-olds are 12-year-olds and they talk shit or they do shit or they joke around, and that's what being a kid is all about, right? And this is shit that nobody normally cares about, but especially looking back 30, 40 years as if it's the end-all be-all of crimes. But I mouth off to Jason Gordon for reasons I don't know, because I don't even know the guy, but you know how kids work. Kids talk shit and the other kids take part because they're kids and they don't really think at that age, right? And so I mouth off to Jason Gordon. Now he goes off on a whole tangent, right? And I can tell you to this day, with the amount of worldwide murder operations, all day and night, 24/7, that I have now watched for 17 or 18 years nonstop to actually try to have me killed, right? We're not talking bullying. We're talking kill Kevin Perlman no matter what it takes. I still have not done what Jason Gordon did back when I was 12 to me, right? Which I never even thought about until I realized that I'm being hunted, like usual, for people that do shit to me, right? Now, yeah, hold on, wrong link. No, maybe not. Now, now I'm not going to say I didn't initiate the verbal provoking of Jason Gordon by doing some short mouth off like you're a loser or something like that, right? I did. I totally admit that a 12-year-old mouthed off to Jason Gordon saying you're a loser or something like that. And Jason Gordon flipped his lid and he he looked at me and he said, "Is that a fist in your hand?" And just punched me in the stomach, right? So, like, there was no middle ground, right? Like, he didn't come back at me with some kind of comeback or anything, like, you little snot-nosed piece of crap, I could wipe my ass with you. He just flat out hit me, right? Now, looking back now, I'm pretty sure the whole thing was some kind of staged operation, maybe some kind of psychological test with the psychology community. And in order for them to cover it up, I'm pretty sure, because one of their labels is somehow that Kevin Perlman, who has spent his entire life being the nicest person known to man, with every person, every motherfucker I've ever known, minus a few imperfections, okay? Just like the whole Ted Bundy thing, right? That imperfect moment in my life leads to extermination, right? You mouth off to a kid, you're a bully, blah, blah, blah. Of course, people mouth off to people, right? And Jason Gordon could have come back like, you're just a little snot-nosed punk or whatever, get lost, you little piece of shit, you know? But he actually, yeah, I mouthed off to the guy. He ended up with physical violence, but when you're 12 years old, kids fighting in the sandbox or kids fighting in the sandbox, so it's not the same as like 30-year-olds walking up to you and bashing your skull in with their fists. They're a little different, right? Anyways, so my family with the psychology community, not only are they like hunting me down over this insignificant event, that I was actually the one that And I'm not going to say I didn't start it, but his reaction was a little freaking extreme, right? Needless to say, I can't tell you exactly the cover-up tactics of theirs. All I can tell you is that that situation alone, just like everyone else, is being turned around and used against me as if I went after Jason Gordon, I bullied him to death, I did this, just like I put Carissa Brands in a mental institution, right? None of it exists, right? And to keep this Kevin Perlman plays games with people's lives and kills them, puts them in mental institution or bullies them to death. I didn't know Jason Gordon. He went to Calabasas High School, and I went to A.E. Wright Middle School. So anything that is being said to the world about what Kevin Perlman did to Jason Gordon and to put him on such edge to punch me in the stomach could not possibly be true based on facts, unless there was a second me that was older going to Calabasas High, and technically you might want to say there was, and his name is Jason Perlman, and I cannot tell you Jason Perlman's interactions with Jason Gordon. All I can tell you is that I believe, like everything else at this point, that Jason Perlman probably contacted Jason Gordon and was working with Robbie Leff, and they had him show up there, and Robbie Leff was sparking my emotions, and I fed into it like most kids do, and I mouth off to Jason Gordon, and Jason Gordon punches me in the stomach, and that's that. And there is one other thing that I saw Jason Gordon when I was in 9th or 10th grade, and mouthed off to him again a couple of years later, because his reaction was so extreme to me that, yeah, sure, I started it, but he had 100 other options to belittle me or whatever without physical violence, that I said something mean like, you know, now why don't you fucking try hitting me or something like that, right? Like a couple years later. And instantly, like the next day, Paul Humphrey comes in my life and befriends me. The next day, okay? So, without going into the whole Paul Humphrey thing, Paul Humphrey was Joe Humphrey's younger brother, and Joe Humphrey was in my brother's grade. Okay? So, what's going on here is either Kevin stands up, these demented things are being done to Kevin Perlman, Kevin stands up for himself, and then more people come after Kevin, like, if you ever tell anyone, we're going to kill you. Right? Okay, so, I don't want to go into Paul Humphrey, because that's about 100 hours of conversation with Mike Huntley and Brian Longboff, and those are for, I want to stay at my youth right now. So Jason Gordon, this was at Topanga Plaza Mall, and these are events that you don't even think about, you couldn't even care about, until you find out people are coming after you, trying to obsessively loop you, and try to make you look crazy and put you in mental institutions, right? So now, we're back to this whole tree. The tree which I ruined my mother's life. I played games with her life because she didn't get the tree she wanted. And now we have the Jason Gordon thing, which you can see they're putting it in movies in 2010, 2013, to send Kevin Perlman paranoid schizo messages to flip Kevin out, make him look crazy, and lock him away in jail cells and mental institutions. Right? Now, why am I not allowed to talk about these things? Well, that is the question. Does it sound fucking crazy? Yeah, sure it does. But does the entire planet know what's going on? Yeah, they do. Okay, so, and a lot of these things they put in these movies are flat out, blatantly obvious, from verbatim mimics of the things I say, the off-the-wall things I say on social networks. And some of these movies, there'll be like 10 of these things from like my Twitter or Facebook conversations, right? It won't be some vague thing like, well, I said the yesterday, and in the movie he said the. No, it's some like, I say like, rubber baby buggy bumper or something crazy like that, and then a year later, like 10 of these things will be in a movie, and I'll go, you know, what the fuck's going on here? So obviously they're mad, right? They're mad about whatever I can't tell you. My mom's mad about the tree she didn't get. Jason Gordon, which is probably not mad because he got to physically punch me, is probably mad that I'm stumbling onto what the hell's going on with my brother, and they don't want that coming out, so they're making up all these lies that I'm a horrible, mean bully, and I bullied Ryan Hirsch that really Brian Weaver bullied, and I bullied Jason Gordon by saying, who knows, you're a loser, and then getting punched in the stomach, as if saying you're a loser is the end-all, be-all of bullying, when we all know real bullying is like some kid saying, give me your lunch money every day of his life, and bashing his head in with your fists, right? That's bullying, not you're a loser. Okay? So, what is all this really about? That Kevin's such a horrible, mean monster and a bully and needs to be hunted and killed and plays murder games with people's lives and yada, yada, yada. Well, it's not about anything I've done. It's about people who didn't get their way, people that want to cover up mass crimes against me and conspiracies working in groups, and most importantly at this point, for what I know and this coming out. For example, you tell the world, you rile up mass chaos worldwide to hunt down and kill someone, and none of it's even true. I guarantee you the people responsible for that don't want that coming to light, that they're liars. Because what statement does that say? What's the overall message? I didn't like this person, I launched a worldwide campaign to kill him. That's the message. Okay? And when it comes to light that all these people worldwide were lied to, that Kevin Perlman was the nicest motherfucker known to man, and there's a worldwide campaign to kill him, they're being used, they're being played, they're being tooled. But it goes way beyond that, because we're talking about murder. And so we're talking about people that were around Kevin when he was young, and they said, we don't like him, we're going to kill him, right? Now, I think it's fair to say if I walk up to people and I say, you see that guy over there? They're a bully and a horrible person. When they were 16 or whatever, that person's going to look at you like, you're fucking crazy, and you want me to do what? Right? So that's where things really get strange. I mean, if I were to walk up to any person right now and say, I want you to hurt that person because of this or that, they're going to look at you and go, you're fucking crazy. Get the fuck away from me, right? So that's where things really don't make sense. That this is all happening in such a way that there's no middle ground. For example, there's literally a worldwide campaign to kill me with psychological warfare tactics, but there's no people saying this is wrong. Example, when you see the cops pulling black people over and blowing them away for no reason, generally you see people holding picket signs to speak out about police corruption and the people that were killed. But in Kevin Perlman's life, no one's verbally saying, this is wrong, I know what's going on in your life, Kevin, this is unacceptable, I'm going to publicly speak out, we're going to let the world know the truth, not everyone's going to believe you, but there's going to be some varying opinion. Well, in Kevin Perlman's life, there's a worldwide campaign to kill him, and nobody's openly speaking out. There are some neutrals, but the neutrals aren't speaking out. Well, why aren't the neutrals saying anything? I mean, how can you just sit there and let someone be tortured and killed by worldwide support while they're walking around every day going, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand. I haven't done anything, and this doesn't make any sense logically or rationally. And they just sit there like, I'm neutral, but die, Kevin. You know, as if you're sitting there walking down the street and someone's just was just run over by a car, and you're like, well, you know, I'm not going to help you today because I got to go get a sandwich. You know, it's like, it doesn't make any fucking sense because it's everyone. And so that's where things really seem to link back to the psychology community, the things they're saying and doing, and while I cannot specifically tell you what, I can tell you that these people are smart enough to con and brainwash the public with their fantasies about me in such ways that are beyond any level pissing people off. So we got a mother. She didn't get the tree she wanted, saying her son's a psychotic because there was probably a skull or a witch in it with no leaves, just joking around on stupid, funny things, and it's the end-all be-all of crimes. They're then doing the arcade thing with Jason Gordon and how Kevin plays games with people's lives, and somehow I did this. They're probably doing what the security guards did to me the other day, saying, like, I'm making... a security guard the other day with Ally Universal, who's stalking me with other security companies my entire life, are saying that I'm making them stalk me. Like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm making them deviate from their normal life to hunt me down and kill me and make me mentally ill and torture and kill me. I'm making them do it. I'm planting seeds in their head with my psychic powers to make them follow me from place to place, threatening my life. We're watching you, and you do what we tell you, Kevin, or we'll kill you. I'm making them do it. I'm making them have neighbors follow me from place to place, thug, provoke, intimidate me, try to set me up, frame me, you name it. I'm making them do it. Yeah, right. So we can probably derive from that I'm somehow... Jason Gordon and my family are probably saying I'm making Jason Gordon come down to Topanga Plaza while Robbie Leff is feeding the fire, and I mouthed off to Jason Gordon and I made him physically punch me instead of just mouthing off back to me like most people do, right? Now, yeah, I did start it. I'm not going to deny that, but like I said before, he went on to the extreme, but I'm also going to say that these things do happen. Where the problem is not that these things do happen, it's that for some reason this information is data mined with the NSA, FBI, given to the world and the psychology community to use against me, and that is where the problem lies. Not Kevin was a horrible monster at childhood and he's a bad seed and needs to be hunted and killed with the police and Kelly Hatch. Well, Kelly Hatch shows me the bad seed with my family in the movie The Police in Southern Oregon State to try to get coerced false confessions and let me know that they're hunting me down to kill me, trying to hint that I've killed people when I was a kid, or send me these hidden messages, but this shit doesn't matter is my point, right? Kids are kids. Kids drive fast. Kids get in fights. Kids cheat on vocabulary tests. Kids drink. We used to drink a shitload when I was 16 at my father's bar or whatever, right? Kids, what do kids do? I don't know. Kids, I don't know. When you get the idea, kids are kids. Oh, kids smoke weed, whatever. Before it was legal, whatever. Kids are kids. Nobody gives a shit. They go, oh yeah, you were a kid. And then you fucking grow up, right? Okay, so my point is, when I'm 29, and Mike Huntley and my family are sitting there going, you're a bad seed and an out of control monster because, when you were 7 years old, you drew a tree that your mommy didn't like, and you fucked with her, and so now every person on the planet is going to fuck with you to death until you get brain seizures, your brain gives out, and you die for your crimes with worldwide support and billions of government dollars. Well, it sure as hell isn't really about you fucked with someone, because what they're doing is trying to murder someone, and that has nothing to do with fucking with someone, right? So the games, you sort of understand what's going on from the arcade, Jason Baum, Jason Baum's later in my early 20s in Colorado. Jason Gordon, Arcade games, Jason Gordon. The movie Tron. The Tree. Carissa Brands. I don't directly. Well, I'll link that to my family's probably saying I'm playing games with Carissa's life, right? When it's just a kid being a kid with joking around with other kids, which means my family has no sense of humor. What else? Jason Baum, kids, game. Other things my family seems to be mad about is playing games on my brother's computer. And there's all these things about my brother that they're sort of pinning on me with his computer life. Like, for example, when I was young, my brother was like the nerd, and I was more the jock. Like, I was on the wrestling team, and my brother, he had his computers like the Atari 1040, and he had his bulletin board service with a modem. He called the Warriors Castle, things like that, right? And, oh, it's getting dark. Things like that, and, from time to time I would play games on my brother's computer, and there was this really cool game, called Sundog. And keep in mind, back then, games were very simple. We didn't have polygon graphics and global illumination and real-time lighting and graphics processing units. You know, they were pixel-based, not polygon-based. And so these games were very simple, but some of the early games, which my family, I think, seem to be using against me, I don't know if they were using the Leisure Suit Larry game, but Sundog, I can't remember the game very much, but it was a cool game. It was more of an adventure game, and I don't even really at this age remember the plot of the game, but I can tell you what I was doing with the game. The game, I remember, you fly from galaxy to galaxy, and you needed to make money to survive and eat and afford like gas for your spaceship. And what I was doing was I was buying guns for cheap, and then I would fly to a different planet where I could sell the guns for a higher price, and selling them, right? I must have been, how old was I? Like 10 years old, like buying and selling on a computer game guns. And finally, I got enough money to buy the spaceship that could fly to a different galaxy, and that's what I wanted to do in the game, was be able to get to a different galaxy. And so I, based on capitalism, was cranking on this game, making all this money selling guns, and I finally just bought the spaceship, and I saved the game, and then my brother deleted it and told me he accidentally deleted the game, and I never really thought much of it until older, and I think he deleted the game for several reasons. He deleted the game because he probably wanted to see my reaction based on my family. Now there's this whole theme with Kevin has a gun and we're going to throw him in maximum security prison. Kevin painted a watercolor picture of a gun with a Grateful Dead image, showed Patty Googin where my father went crazy with the police and put in a bullet hole in his 300E Mercedes to pin on me, which doesn't make any sense. Kevin they're actually applying to the gun. They're applying the gun based on what? They're applying the gun. They're applying the gun based on the movie Wizards when I was 5 years old. Now remember, this is all based on Kevin's crazy, and he conforms. He's a schizo who conforms to media, right? You have to keep that in mind. You have to keep their motives in mind. Kevin's a crazy schizo who is a violent, paranoid schizo, and he conforms to media. That's their argument, right? Just shit they pulled out of their ass because they don't like me. Now, so the movie Wizards they showed me at 5 years old, which they've been reenacting for half my life, labeling me as a white supremacist. The end of that movie with the good and evil wizard with the good and evil wizard brother. Okay, sorry, some of the thoughts came back in my head that I forgot about. So the good and evil wizard, right? The evil wizard's name is Black Wolf, and at 16, when I was sketching pictures, even though I didn't know my family were doing these paranoid schizo things to me, I was sketching pictures of Black Wolf, and Patty Googin would see my pictures of Black Wolf. I think I even painted one for her, right? And then around the same time period, I think this is important, I forgot all about this. So I was sketching pictures of Black Wolf from a movie my family was showing me at 5 years old and trying to make it look like I'm a violent, paranoid schizo. But of course, I didn't know what they were doing until 38, right? And I was also painting with watercolors within, who knows, maybe 6 months to a year's period. The Grateful Dead picture with it's what it is it's like a skull, which my family's thoughts will go back to the tree and the skull crab, right? And with their NSA resources and are refusing to give me privacy. And then the watercolor painting of the Grateful Dead thing. Sorry if if it seems like I'm babbling over and over because I'm driving and trying to talk at the same time. And it's because I don't know, because I'm looking for a gas station. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop right here while I get this point across. So the point I was making is there's a watercolor. The watercolor painting at the same time as Black Wolf is a Grateful Dead picture of a skull who has a 5 o'clock shadow and a cowboy hat, and he's pointing a gun like this right at you, and they're completely non-related, right? The Grateful Dead picture isn't related to the Black Wolf image, and Kevin Perlman's just creating random art. But Patty Googin is seeing the artwork. My father's employee who worked for him his entire life, was probably in his office when I was from 12 years old to 12 years old to almost 38 or something. And she sees the Black Wolf picture, which I gave her actually, and she sees the watercolor painting of the gun. And so at the end of the movie Wizards, sorry, too much wind. At the end of the movie Wizards, the Good Wizard, I'm trying to remember his name. I don't remember the Good Wizard's name. Whatever. The Good Wizard kills the evil wizard, not with magic, but he pulls out a gun and blows him away. And he says something like, "Mom taught me a few tricks that my brother doesn't know," or something like that, right? Now, Patty Googin was making the reference, or Patty Googin was making the connection between the sketches of Black Wolf and the gun, the Grateful Dead picture, watercolor of the skull with the gun, and she flips out and she says, "You better not show your father this." Right? Now, if you're some random person just sketching up random images, and Patty Googin in my father's office, who's working with my father and the police to put the bullet hole in his Mercedes afterwards, goes on the defensive, applying these images to these movies as if Kevin is schizo based on the gun and Black Wolf. The first question you need to ask isn't, is Kevin a violent paranoid schizo who's conforming to the movie Wizards, right? The question you need to ask is, how does Patty Googin know that Kevin saw the movie Wizards and all this paranoid schizo crap is going on? Does that make sense? Example, if you're just sketching characters for movies or random Grateful Dead images, and you're showing your work to people and showing them your art and this and that, and you're not somehow like reenacting, like their argument is that I conform to media, and if I show up in a wizard's gown with a gun, then maybe they can make a connection to the pictures. But the only way that Patty Googin can make a connection that Kevin's a violent paranoid schizo and thinks he's in the movie Wizards is if something is being said about Kevin Perlman behind his back, right? If that makes sense. In other words, by Patty flipping out and by my father flipping out and putting bullet holes in his car to try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo, or let's say theoretically they were testing me to try to get some kind of schizo reaction, says that they're up to no good, and they're fucking with my life, and I have no clue what's going on because I'm just sketching random sketches, right? Just like the Ted Bundy, out of the 100 different database insertion, random database insertions, and they're grabbing on to the data that they can use against me, right? They're not taking the data as a whole and analyzing it, even though they shouldn't be analyzing anything in the first place. But they're grabbing on to what they can use against me and using it against me. That's the point. So, Patty Googin's getting pictures of Black Wolf and pictures with guns, and they're instantly making a mental association with the demented shit they did to my life. That's the point, is they're exposing their guilt. Because if they weren't guilty of something, they wouldn't think about it. They would go, "Oh, cool picture. Cool picture. Who is this character? Cool picture." Or, "Oh, that's Black Wolf. Cool." Or they go, "Oh, I know that picture. That's a Grateful Dead picture. Oh, cool picture. He has a gun in his skull. Cool picture." That's how normal, sane people react. They don't get mad at you. "Oh, well, you drew Black Wolf, and Black Wolf is in the movie Wizard, so therefore you fucked with us and ruined our lives. Oh, you drew a Grateful Dead picture of a skull and a gun with a 5 o'clock shadow, which is the Grateful Dead image, so now there's a gun in it, so now you're really fucking with us, blah, blah, blah." Right? That doesn't really make much sense. And then we're going out and we're putting bullet holes with the LAPD and with your father in his Mercedes 380, and you're making us do it. Yeah, okay, that makes sense, right? You get where I'm coming from? Bullshit. Bullshit. What are the questions? If they do not trust me and think I'm a violent, paranoid schizo or whatever, where are the questions? Kevin, where did you get this image from and why did you draw it and what's it about? Where are the questions? There are no questions, right? There is zero communication, right? So Kevin Perlman is the only one with communication skills, but like I said before, you can't communicate with a psychotic murderer. They just fucking come after you. They don't care, they don't say anything. One minute they're your friends, the next minute they're running around saying we're using the system against you and I'm working with the LAPD and you're a dead man, right? Okay? So, am I playing games with them? Right? I'm playing games with their lives, or are they paranoid psychotics? Right? I mean, to put it in perspective, every piece of artwork, not a few random pieces, but every single piece of artwork I have ever created has been completely taken out of context and used against me. It does not matter if it's little happy flowers and fairies and sunsets, or if it's rain and the Grim Reaper. It does not matter. It does not matter if it's a demon or a wormhole in space or a dragon or ice floating in space. Every single work of art I have ever done is, will, and has been used against me in such a way, and with the psychology community, as if by Kevin creating art, he's committing crimes, and that doesn't make any logical or rational sense based on sanity. Art cannot hurt you, no matter what art I create, okay? I can be like Wes Craven or Quentin Tarantino, and I could sketch off people's heads being lopped off or whatever, and I can guarantee you, just like the average horror movie, and I can guarantee you that my art cannot hurt you. There's no crime in it, no matter what the context is, and in the end, people who look at art that are normal, sane, and stable will look at it and they'll go, I either like it or I don't like it, and this is why. They don't go ballistic that you committed a crime because your artwork is this or that, unless in some of the very few instances like you somehow, whatever, if you were to put like kiddie porn in your art and put it up on public art galleries, yeah, okay, you're going to piss people off. But we're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about normal, subtle art. And some of the art that's being used against me is things that don't make sense. Well, in Kevin Perlman's painting class in college, he painted a Dungeons and Dragons demon on a canvas, and so therefore we're going to send women in wheelchairs. Actually, she was a pretty hot girl in a wheelchair, to work next to him to try to hint that, I believe their hidden message is supposedly that I ran someone over and chopped off their legs or something like that. So the point is that because I painted a demon on a canvas in a class of 30 people in a college course, I've somehow committed a crime, and therefore they're sending women in to hint that I've somehow run people over with cars or killed people, or that I'm a schizo that thinks he's the demon or something like this. And that doesn't make any sense. It means my family are psychotic murderers trying to flip me out, send me messages, right? And then my computer imaging class, with around the same time period, all sorts of things were going on with my computer imaging professor named Jim Johnson. And Jim Johnson was doing all sorts of hints about Eric Johnson from my childhood, that Tom Farley egg mobbed, that they were pinning on me to, he did what they call the sleeping dog contest, where he wanted us to put artwork on the internet, and my picture was simply a composite of Mike Tyson and a game character, Katana, composited together, where the psychology community was running around saying that I'm a violent paranoid schizo who thinks he's Mike Tyson, and I'm a woman beater, and I hate Asians, applying the Asian katana to Jen Yang, my brother, who I went through all that crap in a previous entry with the whole Jen Yang's things, where my brother's pinning all these things on me, right? And then the sleeping dog contest, the reason he called the website the sleeping dog contest was because of I had a friend, Vasu, in high school, and he came over to my father's house, and my dog Rhoda, that my dog put shock collars on, and ironically the name Rhoda applies to the girl in the movie The Bad Seed that Kelly Hatch wanted me to see in Southern Oregon State College, to send me hidden messages that I'm a bad seed. That's what the sleeping dog contest applied to Rhoda, and Vasu came over and he stepped over Rhoda, and Rhoda just for no reason jumped up and bit Vasu. It wasn't really that bad, but for some reason they were sending me hidden messages that I'm like Rhoda, a violent paranoid schizo who thinks he's a dog and bites people, and just like the movie Jupiter Ascending, and you get the idea, right? So the teacher is using all these schizophrenia messages to try to flip me out, and then after I painted this, or did this composite of Mike Tyson with the game character, which is pretty damn harmless, I'm watching all the women all around the University of Colorado have these scared looks on their faces as if I committed some kind of crime, but yet there's nothing I actually did wrong but take an art class and create some harmless art, and the context of the art itself is beyond any level of harmless known to man. I mean, I didn't have Tyson ripping someone's head off with guts shooting out and their long intestine, making a peace sign with their long intestine or anything. It's just two fictional characters fighting. Just like as if you were to play a game or watch a movie about boxing or sword fighting or Mortal Kombat, right? I mean, if you can't go to the movie and watch the movie Mortal Kombat without hunting down and killing the producer and writer and director, then the producer, writer, and director aren't the people with the problem. It's the psychotics hunting down the artists. Anyways, I gotta pause here because I gotta fill my car up with some gas. Okay, so I have to stop and get go-go juice, as Paul Humphrey would say, although I have a feeling when he said go-go juice, he was probably hinting something about me trying to kill or get rid of people or something like that. Now knowing the type of trash Paul Humphrey was, and the amount of suggestive references that I've somehow tried to rid people of the world, whatever, with their operations, when he and Mike Huntley were sent after me at the same time. So anyways, where was I? I was talking about art, and yeah, I know I was jumping all sorts of tangents, but remember, I'm just sort of letting everything out of my brain and trying to get the information to the world and how everything connects from incident to incident, because everything that's going on is all connected from one thing to the next in an unnormal way, because normally your friends are your friends and they're there and they support you and they help you, and they're not there to work on you with paranoid schizophrenia campaigns with mass worldwide support to kill you, right? And when that happens, all of a sudden this event is connected to that event, which is connected to the other event in malicious ways. And that's not how life normally works for people, unless there are systematic terror operations built around them to exterminate them. Like, for example, the amount of people, I'm out here right now in Valencia, and the amount of people I've seen who show up instantly at a gas station within minutes wearing solid black pants and gray shirts, or in the lot next to it, the couple of people that honked their horns twice when they saw me with their alarm button, right? You get the idea, are not normal, right? And so that means there's a system of terror built around me from a young age to exterminate me. Anyways, back to what I was talking about, which is, what the hell was I talking about? I was talking about Patty Googin, my art, how it applied to childhood movies, that I wasn't making the connection, nor should I have to, that giving Patty this painting or drawing from a character from the movie Wizards, and then her seeing my watercolor painting of a gun somehow triggers her reactions that I'm a violent paranoid schizo playing things out of movies, yet why would she have that thought, right? Why would she have that belief about Kevin Perlman unless someone is feeding her information about me? And that applies to every person I'm in contact with worldwide. Doesn't matter who I talk to, where I go. Programmers in Russia, Ukraine, Japan, China, porn stars, models, Japan, China, Germany, random people in every state I drive, Mexico, going to Mexico over the border. Every single place I've been, almost every single person I have been in contact with knows me, is in an angry rage, and then says, I don't know you. I'll hand them a card, what's this? As if they don't know me, right? All packaged responses. And half the time, most of the people mimic the same exact response, which gives it away. They're actually being told what to say. Example, every place I go now, people push their alarm button 2 or 3 times, right? In packaged psychological terror operations that are systematic, right? And so you can tell when that's going on. And so you have to sort of question why there's these murder operations built around me to kill me, right? What are they mad about? Well, whatever they're mad about starts at 5 years old, and there's no talking to them about it because they just want me dead and gone, and there's zero communication, and it's on that level of, we're so mad at you, we're going to kill you. But yet, what could a 5-year-old have done? That's what doesn't make any sense, right? What could a 5-year-old possibly done that's so bad that there's a worldwide campaign to kill him? So nothing really makes any sense except the psychology community just wanting to exterminate me. My mother doing things like Kevin draw a tree, not getting the tree she wants. He fucked with me. He has a problem. The world needs to know who he is because they're psychotic murderers and they're not sane people. There's no dialogue to me about anything at all, any way, shape, or form for 46 years as to what's going on, what it's about, what's happening. That's it. And when I was 29, I can recall my mother with an angry voice, and me telling her something was going on. She said, your past caught up with me. She hinted that I had to leave the country for some reason, which she backtracks on all these things because she's a pathological liar like the rest of my family. And then, of course, tells me I should go see a therapist because I need to get help and this and that. She gives me a name of these corrupt people that she's working with in the psychology community. The first one's name was Susan Donner, who was just a complete lying piece of trash, trying to throw schizophrenia labels to cover up their murder operations, you name it. And when she couldn't make me look crazy, she was telling waitresses at Yankee Doodle Pool Hall that I was harassing them, and things like that, like trying to get like some kind of psychological evaluation with no facts. Does that make sense? Like, we're trying to profile your personality to give to the world, right? Well, that's not how people work. People aren't packaged goods, right? You meet someone, maybe they're fucking complete douchebags, they treat you like shit, you feed off of it, you react, and that's how humans behave. You're not some packaged robot where people collect, for 46 years you're the nicest person known to man, but you mouthed off to this one person once, so therefore we've packaged your personality and given out to the entire planet, and anytime you see someone, they're going to shit on you because one single time in your life you mouthed off to someone. You understand what I'm saying, right? That's not how people work. So, and if anyone knows that better than anyone, it's the psychology community. Hence, anger, rage, we're going to rid you of the world. Okay, so I was talking about art and viewing art and how my family goes through every single piece of artwork I ever create, puts these psychological, analytical packages of stupidity on them, and then somehow manages to turn the world against me, claiming that I'm somehow doing things to people with my artwork. Of course, then it changes to something about my inspiration in my artwork, right? I'm committing some kind of crime because, I guess they came up with some kind of theory that I'm inspired by women to do art, or I don't know. They're fucking insane. That's all I have to say. They're beyond any level of fucking insane known to man. So if I go out and I do a photo shoot with a girl on a green screen and I come up with some really cool idea, who knows? Because my ideas always, they come at random times and based on whether what she's wearing or if we plan it out or whatever. Either way, if I do a photo shoot with a girl on a green screen, whether we plan it out or not, and I do some really cool 3D animation or 3D graphics that matches what she's wearing, or I tell her what to wear, or either way, my family with the psychology community will literally make it some kind of crime and just somehow manage to brainwash the world with the stupidest shit that doesn't even make any sense. Okay? And the point I was making was, for example, if you go out and you see a movie or you look at someone's painting, everything that you pick up on that piece of art, whether it's a movie, whether it's a painting, whether it's music, is your own baggage. It's sure, the artist has his own vision of what he wants to create, but when you go out and look at that photograph or that painting and you see, who knows, maybe it's an angel falling from hell, or it's an alien swinging on a rope in a sandbox, I don't know. You, the viewer, put whatever you want to it, and that's fine, and that's okay. And maybe you take some of the artist's, what he wanted to portray, but in the end, you see what you want to see. That's what happens in the end. Now, the part where all this falls to crap is where someone goes to a movie, someone looks at an artist's painting, and then they get together with groups and hunt the artist down and try to kill them, or the producer or writer, Okay, that's where things don't make sense, right? And that's what's backwards. Example, like I said, every piece of artwork is being used against me. Every time I create a piece of artwork, according to my family, I'm committing crimes, and I'm making people come after me, and I'm doing this to them, and I'm doing that to them. But that's absurd. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Okay? If you're not mature enough to look at my artwork without trying to kill me and get maskers to hunt me down and kill me, then those people are psychotic murderers, not me. And my family has done all sorts of fucked up shit. Like I went out to Canada and my mother and stepfather wanted me to see the movie The Black Dahlia, and after we saw it, there were people whistling at me, hinting I'm a whistleblower about something, while my family wanted me to think that I'm somehow like the characters in the movie or something with their twin aspect or their copycat aspect shit, right? They're fucking insane. But it gives you an idea of them trying to guilt me to get their coerced false confessions instead of, oh, you created a piece of art, let me see it. Oh, that's cool, I like it. I don't like it. Well, I like this aspect. What's it about? This is my portrayal of it, right? That's how normal humans behave. They don't fucking sit there and try to kill you. You drew a tree, I'm gonna kill you. You drew Mike Tyson fighting game character, I'm gonna try to kill you. You drew airplanes in the sky, I'm gonna kill you. You drew a dragon standing on ice in space on a chair, how dare you, I'm gonna kill you. You drew it right, they're fucking insane, they're crazy. So somehow they managed to tell the world this stupidity with the psychology community, and the psychology and the people actually believe like the stupidest shit known to man. It's like that movie Idiocracy, like that level of stupidity is so absurd. Like the people actually are believing the brainwashing bull propaganda that they're actually hearing from my family and the things being said about me. But back to Patty Googin, we were talking about how I simply create some random pictures, and all of a sudden, they go ballistic and put bullet holes in cars, trying to make it look like I'm conforming to the movie Wizards, right? The photograph of Black Wolf, the separate photo, non-related photo of Grateful Dead picture holding a gun where Patty Googin says, you better not show your father because there was a gun in it. Well, why the fuck does that matter, right? Right? That's the next question. Is my dad who owned his 357, who Bruce Simon supposedly gave him, which he had in a lockbox, which he took me out to a shooting range once when I was a kid to shoot his gun, and for some reason Paul Humphrey, who was sent after me with Mike Huntley, who collected guns, was a gun collector, and for some strange reason wanted to try to manipulate me into showing him my father's 357, who they were putting bullet holes in my father's 300E Mercedes, all because I painted a picture, a watercolor picture of a Grateful Dead image, cowboy hat, holding a gun, right? Does that make any sense? But nobody's mad at them. Nobody's mad at them for doing this to me. They're mad at me because you painted a picture of a gun. Right? That doesn't make any sense. Hence, my father spending 18 years, actually 30 years from the time he puts the bullet hole in the car to having Victoria Walker give me the toy gun for my 30th birthday in front of him in the surprise box. And the 17 years after, all day and night, trying to have me arrested with Officer Sean Dinsey in Topanga LAPD, so I could sit in the courtroom where the prosecutor could pull a picture of me holding this toy gun in the privacy of my own home, as if that's somehow the end-all be-all of crimes. Yet, all sorts of freaky things were going on. For example, this picture was never submitted into evidence so that I could prepare for trial with my defense attorney who was working with the prosecutor to bury me, to ask me questions in self-defense because the gun was a credibility card, right? But I wasn't allowed to defend myself with everything else, so my attorney, Seymour Amster, wouldn't ask me any questions for cross-examination to show that it's just a stupid picture of a toy gun in someone's house, showing that it's of no threat to anyone with the millions of other similar photos, as well as, or I should say similar photos with real guns where nobody cares about, as well as everything. My attorney screwed me over every way, shape, and form to provide zero defense for $15,000 for a few misdemeanors, so that I could not get a proper and fair defense. Everything known to man. Sean Dinsey puts a ticket on my car 2 weeks before trial after showing that he's trying to thug me quiet for 1 inch in the red zone. 1 inch, showing the type of scum he is. My attorney plays this game that the judge wouldn't submit it into evidence, yet I watched him and handed it to him. I watched him say, I'm not going to take that, right? So he never even tried to submit it into evidence, right? You get the idea, right? They're fucking me over from 5 years old. But the question is, what's the relevance of guns and knives? Well, the relevance is, there is no real relevance other than you got to make it look like Kevin's crazy and violent, and so you got to get some weapons on him, right? That's the relevance, right? And so, because I've never really been into guns, they couldn't successfully do it, so it actually made it look a lot worse for them, because now they've destroyed my life over a toy gun. But anyways, right, my point was, though, Patty, why was she so defensive? Was I supposedly playing games with Patty Googin because I was showing her my artwork? Right? So you have to understand what's going on. Kevin Perlman's trying to live his life. There's worldwide paranoid schizophrenia tactics to try to make him look like a violent paranoid schizo, to exterminate him, rid him of the world no matter what it takes. There's a family turning every single situation known to man around on me, but they're also strategically planning the setups and frame jobs with insane amounts of resources and billions of government dollars, right? So, for example, just this gun thing alone, people were sent into colleges to try to scare me into false confessions with people like Eric Christensen. In University of Colorado, it was Jason Baum. So we have the Jason Gordon, but also Jason Baum, which my brother introduced me to in University of Colorado. There was Michael Wexler, I mentioned in my last entry. My brother introduced me to, working on the lock-picking tactics and the statutory rape, setup attempts, and frame jobs. So notice that I'm jumping from one thing to the next, right? It's not like your average person where he might be accused of something. Kevin Perlman, it jumps from thing to thing, showing inconsistency and showing that it's not really about anything I've done wrong. It's just about extermination or execution. And so, this all seems to stem around the time 5 years old to 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever. The Tree, the movie Wizards with Ralph Bakshi, the game aspect. I'm supposedly playing games with people's lives, and I guess maybe I'm supposedly playing psychotic murder games with people's lives, but I don't see how that's possible. If I haven't done anything, I mean, first of all, what could one man do alone, unless my game involves, like, pushing people off cliffs or something? I can't imagine what this game could be. But creating art is not a game. It's someone creating art, okay? And it's like I said before, you either like my art or you hate my art, or like my art, hate my art, don't care about my art, but the art itself can't do anything to you. It's just a simple piece of picture. It's a simple piece of art on paper or whatever, and it can't do anything to you. It can't jump out of the paper and destroy your life or anything. If you don't like the art, don't look at the art. And it's the same thing as like the signs on my car, right? These people pushed me for 40 years trying to kill me, and they refused to deal with their issues, saying that they're going to kill me because I asked what's going on, and I better not say anything about what I'm finding out. And come maybe 38 to 40, I put signs on my car that says Kevin Perlman Target with my website, and I have security companies like Allied Security following me all over the place, and because they don't like the signs on my car, pretending that I'm making them follow me from place to place and having mass groups hunt me down and try to kill me because I have a sign on my car that says Kevin Perlman Target, and these people won't leave me alone, right? And so their claim recorded last week from a Allied Security trying to thug and blackmail me quiet, telling me it is illegal to take pictures on private property, which is a load of shit, and their story changes. First it's illegal for me to take pictures out in public, then it's illegal for me to take pictures on private property, then it's illegal for me to take pictures of the beach, then it's illegal for me to do studio shoots, then it's illegal for me to go buy a macro lens and shoot pictures of rocks or something, right? You get the idea. And now it's because I've stated what's being done to my life, and I have a sign on my car. I'm not allowed to go anywhere in the world, and I'm making them follow me from place to place with all sorts of other security companies and mass groups to hunt me down and kill me. I am making them, right? That is their excuse, right? They can't just, oh, he has a sign on his car, I don't care, right? They're making me make them, or I'm making them hunt me down and kill me, right? Well, it's the same argument. How is my website making them do anything? How is my art making them do anything? And then they'll probably say stupid shit that I'm playing games with their lives, because every time they hunt me down and threaten my life or try to kill me or try to set me up, I expose them on my website because they won't fucking stop after 40 years, thinking that they're above the law, and I'm making them do this. Well, last I checked, unless a gun's held to your head, you can't really make anyone do anything. And even Kevin Perlman, who I was flat out told by Mike Hunley at 29 that he was going to get me to threaten people's lives in his little cryptic fucking blackmail way, after 17 or 18 years, still could not get me to threaten anyone's life, with 100,000 to 1 million attacks per day, which actually most people would have broken a lot sooner. But the point is that despite the fact that Sean Dinsey falsified the discovery, turning around what Terrence Strog is the man he contacted to stalk and hunt me, what I said, turning it into blatant lies like everything else, they still, with 100,000 to 1 million people per day for 17 years, trying to torture me and kill me with the most horrific, unimaginable pain, psychological pain known to man, which the average person in 1 month would blow their brains out, and I can guarantee you is way worse than any type of quick physical attack. It's beyond any level of worse that you could fathom, beyond someone just walking up and punching you and it just being over with, that you could even comprehend. Still could not make Kevin Perlman do what they wanted when they actually had motive with worldwide support and billions of government dollars to set me up, frame me, exterminate me. Could not make me do what they wanted to this day, trying to turn me into paranoid psychotics like my family, who are only that way around me to try to peer pressure me into crimes. Does that make sense? So, for example, if everyone I'm in contact with pretends they're psychotic murderers, their reasoning when I'm around, but when I'm not around, they go back to normal life. What is their reasoning? Their reasoning is to pure pressure me to be like them, like their fake personalities around me, so they can get me to do something to set me up to have me arrested and locked away. So, my point is, with everything that's going on, the entire psychology community hunting me down to kill me, every lawyer, every police officer, every human being almost every human being on the planet, all told to work together to rid me of the world, set me up, exterminate me, smear my name, endless lies, smears, I've done this, I've done that, worldwide daily propaganda of daily crimes that don't exist. You name it, could not make me do anything. They could not change me. They could not make me become like them, even though that's not who they really are. They could not get their death threats, any of it. But yet, we have Allied Security, all the other security companies, all these people, everywhere I go, saying a simple piece of art I create is making them do something, right? It's making them do something. How stupid can you be, right? So when I talk about like the movie Idiocracy, except the only difference is that when these people are stupid, they're not really stupid. It's not like they believe the shit they're doing. They're doing it with motive and agenda. They're playing stupid to try to rid me of the world. So when that Allied security guard says these things and is obviously videoed saying it because they keep hunting me down every day of my life, she obviously doesn't believe the bullshit she's pitching, right? She's saying it to get away with the crime and give me disinformation. And so, anyways, so now they're probably saying Kevin Perlman is playing games with them, and I'm making them follow me around, trying to set me up and provoke me over and over, right? And then they're going to apply it to my childhood with the psychology community, with their lies and bullshit that we have established a pattern of behavior from you because you didn't draw the tree that your mommy wanted you to draw, right? You didn't draw the tree how she wanted it. I mean, that's what it all comes down to, okay? Mothers should not ask their child to draw trees, to psychoanalyze their child, and if they don't get the answer they want, spend the rest of their lives with every resource known to man to hunt down and exterminate their child because they didn't get the tree they want. But they shouldn't be asking anyways. They should not be trying to pick apart their child's brain. If they have any questions, they can ask the stupid question and they'll get the answer. Now, if their take on it is, I'm not going to ask my child questions because he's a liar, well, then that could lead to a very abusive family. And that is exactly what happened with my family, is beyond any level of child abuse known to man, right? And on every single one of their tests, if that's what you want to call it, I passed. I mean, every single one. That's not what they're going to tell the world. They're going to tell the whole world I'm a horrible monster based on their perception, based on people that are paranoid psychotics. And when you're around paranoid psychotics, you don't know what to expect, and you don't know what's coming, because psychotics don't ask questions generally. They just let you down and kill you. Could have been when I was 10 years old and my father said, Kevin, if you don't eat the liver on your table, you can't leave the dinner table. And I sat at the dinner table for like an hour straight and refused to eat the liver because it grossed me out. And that is where my father really could have snapped where all I knew, right? Now my father will probably say, oh, well, Kevin's playing games with me because he didn't want to eat the liver and he didn't eat the liver, right? But then we're talking about a father here, which we had an English sheepdog, Maggie, which locked it in a cage for half its life, and he had a dog, Rhoda, Rhodesian Ridgeback, which he put shock collars on because he has zero communication skills, he is heartless, you get the idea, and then it goes worse when you find out that Rhoda was also the name of the girl in the movie The Bad Seed that they wanted Kelly Hatch to show you, hinting that you're a bad seed and you killed someone, and then sending Brody Morales after me with his suggestive messages that I supposedly have no morals and killed someone while he and the LAPD tried to scare and coerce me into false murder confessions, which is very strange. Hinting obviously about cars. Rhodey kept wanting me to call Fly Racing about my engine. Rhodey was also working with Val Moroso in Colorado, who also was one of the people taking me to strip clubs, you know, separate events but connected. You get the idea, right? So the tree and the games, well, the only thing I've seen is games, psychotic murder games played with my life. Example, when Mike Huntley wanted started a company. Mike Huntley wanted me to come back from college, and he wanted me to start a company with him, an internet host provider. And me, thinking I knew this guy for all my life, thought that I could trust him. We start the internet host provider, and for 6 years he's hunting me down with Bob Sandler and Paul Humphrey and everyone else trying to have me killed and rid of the world with the LAPD, while Rhodey's taking me to strip clubs and they're working on me with that angle, while they're sending Jen Hess after me on those setup attempts and frame jobs, which they're spending so much time and energy trying to cover up and make it look like I was stalking Jen Hess. One out of thousands of women with their same tactics. And while in my office, trying to get work done, Mike Huntley with Bob Sandler says, well, we're going to sit in the office and me and Bob are going to play World of Warcraft, right? And I'm like, Mike, you know, we're in the fucking office. We need to be working, not playing World of Warcraft. But of course, at the time, I didn't know that Mike was working on suggestive messages trying to hint that Kevin plays World of Warcraft with people's lives, supposedly, in their little fantasy worlds. And also doing it back to me, if that makes sense. So, for example, they accuse me of a crime, then they have the world do it back to me. Example, you tapped your foot around Aubrey Fisher, therefore you're a horrible murdering troll. So for the rest of your life, or at least that one for 6 years, women were told to tap their, or no women, but people worldwide were told to tap their foot if they saw me, or tap their foot or pens or anything, hands, pens, feet, if they saw me, to try to guilt me to death because Aubrey Fisher didn't like me tapping my foot around her, right? You get the idea. So, Mike Huntley, Kevin's trying to play these World of Warcraft games with people's lives by, who knows his lies. This is the same guy that says I tried to choke him, and he spent, like I said, 25 years trying to kill me. And if someone spends 25 years obsessed with you, trying to kill you, and wants to start a company with you after the fact, he's a psychotic murderer, okay? And these are the things the police are trying to cover up and turn around because he's working with the police and government, NSA, FBI, to have me killed, obviously. So the point is that when he says we're playing World of Warcraft in the office, I say, you know, Mike, you need to be professional and work. What he's really saying is these are death threats and we're going to kill you this way. And so much so, in LC Sandoval in my father's office years later was hinting that I play games with people. So I mentioned about Mike and his accusations in my office with World of Warcraft, and that's when she got defensive and started saying that I hit her and things like that, which obviously Lorraine Escobar was paying off LC Sandoval with the rest of the office to hunt me down and have me killed, to cover up all their illegal operations with Jen Hess, my dad paying off Mike Huntley to spend 25 years with the LAPD to have me killed, you name it, in cover-up operations, which they're still working on because they don't want anything truthful coming out that my family had a child, he was born, they didn't get what they wanted, they decided they were going to hunt him down and kill him. And that's it, okay? Once you take all this and that and blah, 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 Kevin did this and Kevin did that, the most well-crafted how to kill someone and get away with it, with billions of government dollars, my family working with them, you understand that my family, there is no link to kill someone and strategically planned out in such a way to get away with it, working with the police, NSA, FBI, billions of government dollars to have me killed. It's unfucking fathomable, but it's happening. So, you know, the game things and the tree things, they're all just fiction. They're fiction, probably paid off by people like Darren Moselle to hunt me and kill me with my family, with a larger government agenda. And the question is that what is really going on that the psychology community are all working together with the police and government to do things to people like this, right? And that's where once you get past all the smoke and mirrors and confusion, you have to base everything off common sense. Is my family mad at me that I'm different than them? Well, that's part of their scam. That's part of their, he's not a psychotic murderer like a scam. But what's it really about? Because we got the psychology community backing them. And that statement means that all people in the psychology community are psychotic murderers. And that doesn't make sense. That also means that the President of the United States, the Congress, the Senate, all lawyers are all psychotic murderers, right? Doesn't make sense because Kevin's different. So what's really going on? Well, it's not a simple question, that's for sure. It's not a simple like, I had a friend who didn't like me, he pulled out a hatchet, tried to chop my head off. It's not a simple situation like that. We have the entire psychology community working on me since a young child. We have a mother pissed off that she didn't get the tree she wanted. We have, I supposedly play games with people's lives, which are so bad, one man playing whatever game I played I can't imagine, because what resources, even if I did play a game with someone's life, would I have that there's a worldwide campaign to kill me, right? We have escalating worldwide groups from a young age, from college to college, contacted to try to rid me of the world, set me up, frame me, me not knowing. We have the lame claims that because when I turned 29 years old and found out something was wrong, I didn't know how to react like a perfect robot would, as if anyone could react, or anyone's ever heard of something like this, right? To this day, not allowed to tell anyone, as I've never been allowed to tell anyone, no matter what age I am. Right? These are unheard of situations. Worldwide stalking operations with the government, NSA, FBI, worldwide, not only worldwide propaganda systems in secret, but endless torture, terror, and murder operations to kill me on things like creating enough anxiety to kill a field of cows, right? And nobody runs around saying, you suffer from anxiety issues, so we're going to intentionally create more and more anxiety until you're dead, with death threats, with therapists like Carissa again saying people with anxiety die at a young age, basically sending me a little cryptic message that they're going to kill me for the information I know, who was trying to silence me working with my father, Lorena Escobar, as she was giving out private conversations, right? And she especially got defensive when I mentioned things like my father not having communication skills, and putting shock collars on dogs, and putting dogs in cages for half their lives, right? So, why are the psychology community siding with a psychotic murdering family? Well, that's what's strange. And I think I'm going to end this here. And so I hope that you understand what I'm talking about with the whole game scam, or the my artwork is making people my artwork is making people hunt me down and try to kill me, or joking t-shirts people don't like are making people hunt me down and try to kill me, or my smile is making people hunt me down and try to kill me, or my hair is long, so it's making people hunt me down and try to kill me, or I didn't sit perfectly straight, or I tap my foot around someone, so it's making people hunt me down and kill me, right? I hope you understand the point that all these things they don't make any sense, and the people saying them to me don't actually believe the bullshit they're shoveling out. They're saying it because they have an agenda in ending my life or ridding me of the world. Now the whys, like I said, there is no real answer except a family that had a kid they didn't like and wanted to exterminate them. Why is everyone helping them? I cannot answer that question. I can't imagine how people would just sit around and let this happen or support it. But I can tell you that the psychology community is psychologically profiling, labeling, targeting, exterminating with full government support, endless billions of dollars invested in me alone, and the things I mentioned about having recorded police scanners of police labeling people of possible mental illness, whether they're mentally ill or not. The police's job is not to hunt down people they don't like or trust. The police's job is to stop crimes in progress, or arrest people for crimes, right? So, hey, you suffer from mental illness, I don't trust you, so I'm going to rid you of the world, right? That is a crime on the government and police's behalf, not people like me trying to live our lives where some corrupt piece of trash cop says he's crazy, I'm going to rid him of the world. So all these things are being turned around on me since 5 years old. But like I said before, it starts with the era while my family's showing me movies to try to turn me into a violent paranoid schizo. They're also asking me to draw trees to get things to use against me in the world while collecting everything else. Then it goes into the game tactic, this game scam. Somehow I'm playing games or I'm conforming to a game, and while hinting about games from my past, like Sundog, where my father tells me his password is wrong doggy, and then him planting guns on me, or working the toy gun aspect, or putting the bullet holes in his car aspect, while he finds out that Kevin Bowman at 10 years old or 12 years old was playing Sundog and selling guns in a little game simulator, a harmless game simulator, right? And then trying to say that I conform to horror movies and games and songs and movies, while at the same time trying to send me hidden messages and references to flip me out and make me look crazy, all part of the same agenda to just exterminate me and eradicate me. And then the final thing I'll add is one of the things that some of the psychology community with Mike Huntley were trying to say, which they are desperately trying to cover up, is that I am somehow full of anger, rage, and wired differently than everyone else, as the next piece of stupid, moronic propaganda to the world. So, think of the strategic thought process and planning in the psychology community with an agenda to hunt me down and exterminate me, saying that I think differently, I'm wired differently, I am full of anger and rage, I have no communication skills, yada 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 yada, and all this shit they're saying, everything, which changes on a daily basis, is how they are. It's their projection of themselves on me. They're psychotic murderers. They see me as a psychotic murderer. They get together with mass worldwide groups to hunt me down and kill me. Why? Because they're psychotic murderers. You don't see me doing any of the shit that they're doing. At all. Any of it. Nothing. Right? I'm not playing games with people's lives. I'm open, I'm honest, I have really good communication skills. If I'm not dealing with psychotic murderers with no communication skills, I'm kind, I'm giving, I go out, I believe in capitalism and try to make shitloads of money and help others make money for close to nothing where everyone benefits. I'm open-minded, non-judgmental, as friendly as can be, you name it, right? And here these people come, these paranoid psychotics, saying, Kevin, you have a problem, so we're going to hunt you down and kill you and cause problems for you so that we can say that you have a problem so we can hunt you down and exterminate you and rid you of the world. Alright? So, you kind of get the idea now of the dynamics going from trees my family doesn't like, which is making them hunt me down and kill me, to kissing a black girl at Sunny Skies Day Camp, which is somehow making them tell the world I'm a white supremacist and hunt me down and try to kill me with worldwide support, when really, if someone really did believe that, and at Sunny Skies Day Camp and way before the internet existed, it should have stayed right there in their stupid moronic minds instead of magically going through billions of dollars invested to get that information secretly to the world. And on that point, anyone that invests money to tell lies about someone until there's worldwide groups to kill them, and then tell that person that they're imagining it, has ulterior motives to kill them or rid them of the world to begin with. So anyone that's approached by these people with their arguments that are in secret and one-sided, where I cannot defend myself, and then I'm told if I ever say anything, I'm a dead man, and by the police, you get the idea. These aren't sane, reliable, and as far as I've heard the word shady a lot, these aren't credible people, they're murderers. And anyone can tell you that. Any 10-year-old with common sense can tell you that. Right? So the point is that Kevin Perlman, at 40 years old, is forced to put up Kevin Perlman Target, exposing these liars. Well, at least my website is open to the public. Right? I have nothing to hide. Right? I am flat out telling you how it is. I'm telling you what these sickos are saying about me. I'm not doing it in secret. The reason theirs is in secret is because they don't like that thing called truth or accountability. And so that's the point, is that anyone that says I'm the bad person is a low-life piece of trash, psychotic murderer, someone who is a jealous, conniving lowlife that doesn't want to work for a living, wants to destroy me and kill me because of their inability to go out and do something with their lives. And yet people like me, who was born with every hurdle known to man since 5 years old, has never ever had that personality trait, no matter how hard I had to work above everyone else to get the same things accomplished. For example, my brother could drink beers, get 4.0s, not study, go to med school, had his entire life easy. Me, I could study 100 hours over and over for the same stupid test, and I'll still get a C. Slow learning, you name it. I was born with all sorts of learning disabilities, despite my father trying to make it look like I'm a genius and this and that, to try to make it look like one of their scams is they're telling the world that I'm a genius, and then telling the world that I think everyone's stupid. And that, like I mentioned in the last segment, that came from a movie. Trying to make it look like I conform to a movie, and I forgot the movie from the other day, but whatever, it'll come back to me. But it all comes from a movie to make it look like I conform to a movie. So he's telling everyone I'm a genius, and he's trying to make it look like I'm a snob that looks down on everyone, when the reality is that I was born with learning disabilities. I had to work 100 times harder than everyone else. I still put on a positive attitude and helped everyone in my path. And that just shows the type of scum and trash that I grew up with, that you can't get away from. But anyways, I hope you understand the dynamics a little better from how all these situations are interacting, these elaborate disinformation being given out worldwide, that Kevin plays games with his mother's life because she didn't get the tree she wanted, with me all because I have a sense of humor, which they do not, because your average garden variety paranoid psychotic murderer doesn't have a personality or sense of humor. And so they think I'm playing games by having a sense of humor. They think I'm playing games because I'm artistic and have expression and create art, which I think is cool and creative and new and unique and original, is what artists are told to do. And so it makes them angry. And whenever they see that moment of imperfection, for example, while most of my artwork is pretty original, the few pieces of artwork that maybe I'm tracing something or sketching something or copying something is somehow turned into some kind of label to be used against me. You know, things that are unheard of. But anyways, so I hope you get the idea of how someone like me, who is stable, well-balanced, kind, giving, generous, open-minded, expressive, has a good sense of humor, and then I met with a psychotic family who somehow is working with the psychology community to turn things around on me and hunt me down with worldwide support, which is very strange. It doesn't make any sense. Is going on, and the fact that nobody thinks this is wrong and wants to come forward, trying to rid me of the world and remove me from society and keep me in isolation and stop me from ever having a life, is the problem. So anyways, this is a long one, so I will continue probably the next couple days, and I will expand outwards from the tree to some of these next childhood events, eventually go into high school, then college, then Signet, Mike Huntley, then blah blah blah, but these things are endless, as you probably see. So anyways, I hope you watch this and take it in.